go so I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Here we are, working when no one else is in the Major League Baseball world. Scott Braun, Erik, Kratz, and Brock Holt. It is Foul Territory live on Stadium. We are back from the other side of the country. What city are we in?
I can't tell you the city, but we are in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
You made it.
True,
You made
true.
it. You made it.
We are in Pennsylvania, and most importantly, Brockstar, have you heard about the book Sweeping the Nation?
I have, and I've actually read it start to finish multiple times already.
No way. He had me for a second. I read it start to finish. I was like, oh, wow, that's nice. Because AJ actually reads, for real.
AJ does read.
But then the multiple times, no.
The multiple times.
Stop. Go ahead.
You guys don't buy it. You didn't buy it.
Who did
I'm not a reader. I listen to the audiobook.
That's fair. People have Derrick from NY Recaps. He said he already downloaded the audiobook. So.
Are you the voice?
No, right?
We went over this.
Come on, man.
It's such a bummer.
It's okay. I have backup plans. He's going to be the YouTube voice of his book.
Who does it? Who
some
reads
professional.
it? Some random.
Professional. But we figured we'd do this. We'd do one of these here. I'd be like this. I'd be like.
Just pick up read a random sentence.
I don't know if there was one moment, but it started out being lucky enough to have KT as a mentor, Epstein said.
Theo.
Oh. Hey, that was my favorite.
I saw Theo was on my plane yesterday.
That was my favorite. That was my favorite paragraph in the book. It's crazy that's the one you read.
That's crazy.
It's called The Tao of the Backup Catcher. It came out this week. There it is. Gorgeous. If you go to our socials like Twitter, Kratz's Twitter, it's there. Click the link. Hit up Amazon. I pressed it last night, so we're good to go.
If you can teach me how to pin, pin something on Twitter,
pin the tweet,
that would be helpful for me.
For the first break we do, go to your Twitter and then I'll help you out. We'll just talk through life right now on our show.
Because there's no baseball game, so there mustn't be anything that's going on in baseball, right?
Except that we're talking to Kevin Frandsen in about 15 minutes about the Nats and Phillies.
My roomie.
Ken Rosenthal about Rob Manfred saying that the Oakland A's or Oakland, the city of Oakland, won't talk to him, but then Ken is. Ken is posting proof that they are talking to him. So lying's not cool, especially when there's proof that you're lying. And then Derrick Gould on the St. Louis Cardinals, who basically said, we're selling, baby. And so let the first big kind of seller, I would say in my mind, reveal itself. Because we know, Nats and A's and teams like that, but there's not a ton for them to sell. The Cardinals have pieces.
Oh, I have so many that I want Big Mo to sell.
Paul Goldschmidt, gone.
Yes.
Nolan Arenado, gone. Yadier Molina, gone.
Wait.
That's my lock.
Yadier Molina is definitely maybe not catching for them.
True, and that's a problem. So let's charge the mound, and we'll take one look back at the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby, including ratings. So ratings were down again. Second consecutive year. And if you look back, and of course there are a lot more activities to choose from for the youngins these days. There was a pro that viewership among males 18 to 49 increased 6% and up 4% for males 25 to 54. Austin Karp of Sports Business Journal posting some of the numbers. Also, largest primetime TV audience since Game 5 of the NBA Finals. It's summertime. All-Star Game still dominates. Here's actually the biggest part for me, Brock. The MLB All-Star Game still has the most viewership among all All-Star games. So they're still upwards of 7 million. The Pro Bowl is in the 6s. NBA All-Star Game is in the 4s. So the reason that's important to me is because the NFL dominates ratings for everything, right? They could show dudes sitting at a picnic table eating lunch and it would get a few million views. So the fact that baseball still has a premium midseason product, in my mind, is still very strong.
Well, I think baseball is really the only sport that they actually play a game, right? Like the NFL is now flag football, and the NBA is the score is 200 to 197. So guys are pulling up from half court and shooting 3-pointers. No defense whatsoever. Like baseball, you can't really slack in a baseball game. It's like Garrett Cole starting. Like you got to be ready to hit. Garrett Cole's not just gonna feed you a ball right down the middle. So I feel like in that sense, like they're still playing baseball and it's the best players in the world. So it's always going to be a better product, I feel like, for people to watch.
And you're exactly right. And I think even sometimes, I just remember Chris Sale the one time. It was the first time I saw him hit like 102 or whatever he hit that one All-Star game. You see guys play harder. I mean, the NFL, they're going to flag football now.
Yeah.
So they're playing harder. The only closest thing I would see is like dudes who are like Arozarena stole second base. At the beginning of the game, they interviewed Cole, and he was like, yeah, he's like, definitely not walking anybody. Like pitchers are coming after dudes. So you're exactly right. I think it's by far the best All-Star game of the All-Star games. Although I like the hockey, some of the skills tests that they do for hockey.
Yes, you're a big skills competition guy.
I like it, and I get it. You can't get hurt because,
well, we've talked about this too.
Lou Bob pulled his calf in the home run.
Luis Roberts out, which is a problem. And also, just in general, the amount of dudes that run down the line in baseball and get hurt is always concerning.
Get a hamstrung.
Yeah, pulling up lame. It happens too often. But I'm with you, Brock. I mean, you can half-ass in other sports. Basketball, easy. You don't want to play defense? Cool. Like, that's... Yeah,
let me dribble by you and slam dunk it, right?
Yep.
Throw it off the backboard and slam dunk it. Like, I can't go up there and half-ass it against Garrett Cole throwing, he's pitching one inning, so he's probably going to try and, blow my doors off, right? He doesn't want me going deep in the All-Star game. He wants to punch out the side. And he knows he's only got one inning. So, and you've got the best arms in the league, in the game, in the world. It's not a game that you can, like you said, half-ass it. You gotta go out and be ready.
May I ask why you're doing the entire show with a bat lying down on your shoulder?
Just in case someone tries to break in.
Did you have a recent issue?
I do. No, I didn't. I just like this bat. It's just a prop.
Give me context.
It's my favorite bat. Chris Sale signed this bat. He had a bad outing one day, if I rotate the bat. He had a bad outing one day and beat my bat against the wall.
Wow.
So after the game, I put it in his locker and I put a sticky note in it. I said, "Hey Chris, man, once you calm down a little bit from tonight, can you sign this for me?" And he did the next day. It was in my locker. It says, "To Brock, I definitely got more hits with this than you did." Chris Sale. It's my favorite piece of memorabilia that I own.
I love that. Okay, yeah, then you may keep that on your shoulder, Paul Bunyan. That's awesome. That's one of one.
It's one of one.
This is one of one. Yeah.
When Ken Golden comes back on another time, Ken Golden was on the other day when you weren't on. He can definitely, although it's not authenticated.
We'll work on that.
We can get it authenticated for you.
We'll get that for you. One other thing I wanted to pop about the first half. Game time down 25 minutes. Not the sponsor. They're great. They're always up. But the actual time of game is down 25 minutes. Stolen bases are up 41% from last year. It's the highest stolen base rate since 1997. Love it. And 5 out of 6 division races are within 2 games. More on that in a moment. The other thing I wanted to backtrack on was our conversation on, what was that? Was that yesterday?
No, it wasn't yesterday. It was Tuesday. It was Tuesday. Okay. That is a real thing right there. The look that you just had was the look that I had because you're flying across the country.
Yeah.
I can't believe – I don't know how AJ feels because he did it like back and back again.
Well, he's not here today.
He's not here, so he doesn't get a reprieve.
Yeah. We spoke to Tony on Tuesday, the executive director of the MLB Players Association, and let's run a little clip from that.
It's disheartening to see what we're seeing. and the effect that it's having on the community there. Obviously, we as players and as a union, we're a part of the conversation, not a part of the relocation, not a part of the decisions necessarily that are being made, but we have a formal seat at the table that stems from what's going on. But the idea that a team may very well be, it hasn't happened yet, but may very well be leaving Oakland and going to a market that's smaller is an interesting one. The idea that one of the most, you have a headline that suggests you're concerned about diversity and inclusion, but then you're removing yourself perhaps from a community that is as diverse as any in this. It's concerning. And I know the fans there, we feel for them, the players that are there who are grinding every day amid the chaos that's out of their control as well, is something that we stay connected to and are concerned about.
So, and the line that got me good was, yeah, we're trying to promote diversity within our game, right? And make sure that our game is being played in diverse, like in a number of cities with diverse backgrounds, right? And making the game available to everyone. But one of the most diverse cities is losing baseball. And we're saying that we can't work with them and with the city. And the city's like, please,
No, actually,
Rob, recognize me, please. And he's like telling everyone in the public, they won't talk to me.
You see the governor, I think it's Tao, or is it
The mayor?
The mayor. She's in the background going, Rob, hey, Rob.
Hey, it's me. Hey, look at me.
I have some plans.
Rob,
Bob?
Mommy.
Commish, Dad, anyone.
Yeah.
Nothing, which we'll talk to Ken Rosenthal about later because he wrote all about it yesterday. But Brock, great conversation we had with Tony about that. We were saying, like, how do you find the next Ellie De La Cruz, and going over how to get guys that are going clearly to basketball, but really to football, to move over sometimes to baseball. And then the last one, my personal favorite from the week, was, can we trade draft picks? Because I think it would be so much more fun for the MLB draft. And Tony goes, we literally have proposed that 1 billion times, and MLB said no.
I like how he even upped it. He's like, trade draft picks. He's like, I just want to axe the whole draft.
Yeah, he did. He went one step further.
He was like,
fuck the draft.
Oh, we're going over this line? He's like, no. Wow, we're going way over the line.
Sign wherever you want. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's hard for me to listen to Tony Clark because all I stare at and look at is that beard. I mean, just completely chiseled, like not a hair out of place.
It's incredible.
It really is. It really is. But no, I mean, it's, you know, it is what it is right now. I mean, I know that the Players Association and Rob Manfred and the owners have always had their issues, and you know, it's. I mean, I'm pretty much speechless on the whole thing. I mean, with the Oakland deal, like, why can't we just tell the truth? You know, like, why can't we tell them what's going on and why we're not doing this or why we're not doing that? But Tony Clark is a very intimidating man, and whenever he speaks, I knew that whenever he came to the clubhouses in spring training, I was listening, and he was making sure that you know, our clubhouses weren't rigged. You know, he'd be mid sentence and he'd hear something in the cafeteria and he'd stop his speech. You know, like making sure it wasn't an owner in there. You know, listen to what we had going on. You know, what we were planning. But I love how Tony speaks the truth. Right, like he tells you how it is, and that's what you want.
And he's always in the player's corner. Like you talking about that. He always had a cup of coffee, and he would spend the whole time and he'd just hold the coffee. Normally when I played, he just had a goatee. Now that beard, yes, Brock, that beard is perfect. I sat next to him on the couch and I needed to listen to the interview again because I was just like this into the beard. I was like,
just gazing into it.
It was perfect.
Chiseled by Michelangelo.
It was definitely chiseled. It had the perfect, but he would just hold his coffee like this and he'd go, gentlemen. And he'd look around to make sure a club he walks through and he'd be like,
you can't have anybody that's not supposed to be
nobody.
In there.
But he can't. I mean, he is as pro player as it gets. And maybe to a fault, you know, maybe sometimes.
That's his job.
it's his job, but like sometimes it doesn't have to be a 6'7" guy wanting to fight everybody. It can be, hey, you know what, Rob? Let's sit down, let's break bread, let's talk, let's chat, and like let's hash some of this out. Let's make this relationship a little bit better. But he's like, Rob, screw you.
I'm 6'7".
Yeah.
You're a punk.
Yeah. Well, so maybe just like
yeah, exactly. The size differential is massive. So, hey, if you want to see that, the entire interview is on our YouTube channel, of course, and that was this morning's podcast. If you go to Apple or Spotify and you're hitting the road like me all the time and you want to hear it. So time for our first poll question of the day on Stadium. QR code is on your screen, or go to watchstadium.com/foul territory and vote on which first place team will not win their division. The only ones out of the 6 that we did not include were the Braves, because you're dumb if you vote for that one. But which first place team will not win their division out of the Rays, Guardians, Rangers, Reds, or Dodgers? And just keep this in mind, too. The Twins and the Brewers are still Vegas favorites for the Central, despite both of them being in second place. Really good conversation. One of my favorite polls we've done. Vote on that. We'll swing right back with Kevin Frandsen on the Phils and Nats.
Table the last round was focused in on that. We had gotten into a world where a team didn't have to be successful to be very profitable. And we've always believed that in a market system in particular, the best way for a team to realize value moving forward is to put the best product they can on the field. The best product's going to include the best players you possibly can, and that's going to bring fans to the ballpark and excitement around the city, and thus benefit the ball club and benefit the other 29 teams as a result of being competitive. And so it's unfortunate that we had to bring that to the table the last round of bargaining. We did. Some things stuck. You mentioned the lottery. That's one of them. A little uncertainty around, I'm just going to lose as many games as possible so I can get the highest pick possible. Some uncertainty there, and you saw a team that actually moved as a result of the system. Not perfect, not ideal, not where we started, but in an effort to get a deal done, found a landing place that at least raised the concern and brought in some uncertainty. But there are a lot of moving pieces in our system that we thought, if they could be addressed, would also be helpful to that conversation. Because you want all 30 teams starting the year believing, hey, my team did certain things to help put us in a position to be successful. And there are a number of ways to do that. It all comes down to having good players on the field. It'll always come down to that. But we tried to interject things into the system that would help. And a lot of them, unfortunately, the other side wasn't as interested in or willing to engage on.
And now back to foul territory.
Back on Stadium, Braun, Kratz, Pierzynski, and Kratz behind Frandsen. What's up, Franny?
So good.
What's going on, boys? Yeah, no, it just pops up randomly. Like it
hangs there all the time.
He didn't even put that there.
Hang on. There it is. World Series Fall Classic. I know he lost in that one, but it's the 19 jersey. It's amazing. So, hey, a little bit.
Right, put them all.
That's why
Vintage.
I got the 1-9er. That's why I got the 1-9er.
That's right. That's right.
You
guys
Kevin
good?
Frandsen, yeah, we're great. You can follow him just at his name, Kevin Frandsen. He works everywhere.
Real creative.
Yes, doing it. Nats TV. He can definitely talk Phils with us and really anything. You can hear him on MLB Network Radio as well. We've probably all came across Kevin either for you guys in playing days or for me. We've done some radio back in the day. So, Franny, let's actually start with your most regular day job these days.
Okay.
Tell me about the Washington Nationals this year, because I'll be real, we haven't talked about them a ton. We know they're in rebuild mode. They've had good success in the past. They're building themselves back up. It's actually not a team that we pick on either. Like, we understand there's a plan. They're not the Rockies. There's a plan for them on how they're building back up. I love their Soto trade. So tell me how the season's going for them and how the second half will look, including pieces that they could potentially pick up to better themselves for the future.
Yeah, and it's going to be the question of if they add anything more from other franchises, minor leagues. because there's a bunch of guys on the team that teams are going to want. So it's going to be interesting as we move forward. So look, if you take this season, the expectations were to be better than last year at least. Especially the second half where it felt like post the Juan Soto trade, weren't a lot of games that they were in, and a lot of it was the starting pitching, right? It was a lot of pitching, and you get here and there with the offense, but Joey Meneses stepped up and had an unbelievable year. So you come into this thinking, okay, let's be a little bit better than last year. Let's try to get better, learn how to win. And we've seen a lot of that. Look, they had a rough June, and it could have gotten worse, but they didn't let it happen. You started out with the Dodgers. You had, we could go on and on with the Phillies, the Braves, and it's just the gauntlet they had to run through, and it didn't eat them up. They stayed in it. This team fights. This team plays like their manager. And Davey Martinez and their coaching staff has been phenomenal to watch. Are there things that they need to clean? A lot they need to clean up, right? And it's stuff that isn't coaching wise. It is all player, execution wise. And so when you look at this going forward, you can see the pieces. Josiah Gray's an all-star. Mackenzie Gore has shown the flashes of what a number one could be, a number two could be. Trevor Williams has been a stalwart in the thing, but the thing that's not going to get talked about enough because, he makes a lot of money and he hasn't performed up to what everyone expects is Patrick Corbin. He's been unbelievable. Really has. You talk about a leader and a guy that takes the ball every fifth day, not scared. I want that. I want to see that. Look, the results are going to be the results. And that's a big part of this. But up and down lineup, it's been Lane and Jamer. Like those two, Lane Thomas and Jamer Candelario, have been awesome. Awesome. Could have been all-stars. Truly could have been. And you put their silhouettes in on a pick'em, on the floor, and there's a chance people are going to look at their numbers and be like, oh, I want that guy on the all-star team. And so, that didn't happen. But, moving forward, there's a lot of good pieces. You just wonder what they're going to do because there's going to be teams that are going to want, a couple of those guys especially.
So are they playing too well? Are they playing too well to really put yourself – because you've seen rebuild in Philly. Right. Now you're kind of seeing the whatever this is here, the failed rebuild in Philly. Are they playing too well?
No. Because, again, you and I and Brock, we know this whole thing. I mean, Ronnie, you know it. It's hard to win in the big leagues, right? So learning how to win in the big leagues, you gotta fight through some things. You're gonna be the part is like on paper, you're a man down. What it feels like, and when you look out there and you see the way they compete, that's the part that you're going. You can't say they're playing too well because of that. You know what I mean? The competition part. They're not giving in and all that stuff. All the cliches that they aren't. Without the ability to have a top 10 pick next year, I mean, what are they trying for, really? There's no incentive to lose. It's not like you're going to get a better pick because, being in a top 5 pick or top 10 pick last 2 years, the CBA is going to hurt them. But that's the CBA, and that's what I love it because you don't want teams tanking. But it just happens to be right in the middle of the rebuild of this right now with the Nets. It would be helpful. It would be helpful.
So I love that you're on the show right now because normally there's three ball players, ex-ball players that are on the show. You know that. Mm-hmm. Two pigs, one pirate on this show.
Easy how we go with that one.
But anyway, so here's the only comment that I have because I just got off the show where the guy that interviews you just makes you make comments. And I want you to respond to this. I want you to talk about this.
Talk about this.
To respond to this. You, Brock, and me are all on the show. Who do you think is more career big league homers? Just saying.
Ooh.
Well, it's
a
me,
toss-up between you and Brock.
If it's me, you guys stink.
I already
I'll tell you that much.
I already stunk, so it's all right.
I would say since Erik brought up the question, I'm saying he has to have it. He has to have it.
Yeah, absolutely. Boom.
How many triples though, Kratzy?
Oh, don't bring up old stuff.
Wait. Hey, Brock, if we were to do this one, it'd be like I think Kimbrel has given up 2 0-2 homers in his career. Do you know who the first one was?
It's got to be you.
Not me.
I'm
Definitely
looking at
not
him.
me. Definitely not me. Definitely not
It
me.
was definitely not Franny. It was me.
It was. I was 0 for
Kratzy.
9 with like punches against Kimbrel, so it was Kratzy. Yeah, it was Kratzy.
Franny, has the Juan Soto trade? You've seen the Juan Soto trade in Washington now.
Right.
Was it a good trade? Or is it too early?
Actually,
Yes.
no. I think so, because the more and more you watch this thing go, I'm not sitting here saying that they're going to re-sign Juan when he's a free agent, but the more and more you go like days without him re-signing in San Diego is an extra day that Nats have, possibly to get him back, right, in a year or two, whatever it is. The big pieces ultimately are Gore and James Wood. Robert Hassel's a good prospect. I don't think he's great, but James Wood, that kid's phenomenal. So I'm going to sit here and say, yeah, it looks good so far.
Have you seen James Wood?
I haven't seen it.
Dude is a monster.
He is the anti-me.
With
He
hit
is
tool.
like completely huge. Lots of power.
Mhm. I think it was a brilliant move. And here, I'll compare it to a situation that's going on right now, because like you're talking about, I mean, they offered him a lot of money. And in fact, this is actually one of those cases where, and I'll get the exact number that was
It was
reported.
440.
What was it, 440?
440, yeah.
Over under. When he hits free agency, knowing what
Under.
you know right now, under. Okay. So if that was one where you're the Nats, and I'm like, it's a pretty damn good. They offered him almost $500 million.
Pretty damn good. I would say that was pretty damn good. Right?
If I'm the owner, that's why we
Stones?
talk
How about the
owners
Stones
here,
to say
Franny.
no?
You what?
How about the Stones to say no to that?
That's what I'm saying. Is like, if I own the Nats and I offer 440 because I'm trying to keep you long term, and you say no, you're gone. That's fine. I'm okay with that, and I think fans should be okay with that too. If that's a real offer, then we're not keeping him. We need to get something else for him. Example right now, Shohei Ohtani should have been traded last year for at least the same haul, if not more. Franny, let's talk in 2 years about where the Nats are and where the Angels are, okay? Because the Nats will be competing in the NL East, and the Angels will be dog shit. Agree?
Well, I mean, Trout's still there, so I can't say complete, dog ass.
Okay,
on
but
that, so
how many playoff appearances have they made with Trout since they got dusted by 2014's Erik Kratz crew?
Yeah.
Right there, baby, right there. They got him.
The patch.
Look. The Nats will have it, I think.
Easy.
The Nats will have
You're
it.
even
See,
thinking
like
about
the
this?
thing is that like after the Juan Soto trade, would you ever play chicken with Mike Rizzo? Like, he traded
shooter.
one. He just said, everybody, hey, here it is. Oh, you guys wouldn't do that. Boom, traded him. Like, nailed him. Like that to me is like the Shohei thing is, if it was last year, let's say, how many teams would they have to have contracted in the minor leagues to actually have made it for, I think valuable for the Angels. I think this year you get them for a little bit less of a price. I mean, it's still going to cost you, but come on. Like, it's got to be double digits, right? Like 10 guys?
Yeah, five for the hitter, and 5 for the pitcher. No,
Dude, no
I
doubt,
agree, man. I think like everyone's saying you can't trade the best player ever, right? But like, if you know you're not going to get him back, like, you're gonna offer him the qualifying offer. He's going to turn it down. You're going to get a draft pick. Like, why not get 10 players and
then have a chance, and maybe have a chance at the end,
and hopefully
like what I was
3
saying
or
about
4
Juan.
of them turn out to be good big leaguers, right? Like,
No doubt.
I mean, it's almost like you have to do it, Who knows if they will do it, but it'd be hard
if you're trying to get better for the long term, I mean, ultimately it comes down to you have to have depth. The top pieces, we get that whole thing. It's great to have the talent and all, but they got better actually this year by getting depth pieces, right? Like, we saw them gradually get better with those, the Urshela's of the world, the Brandon Drury's of the world, that type stuff. So add in nine more chances, right, at getting that in the depth. Like, Shohei he's special. I don't want him ever to get traded just for the fact that, like, he means a lot to people in Anaheim already, right? Like, people are enamored with him. People all over the world are enamored with him. But just to see what he can control, like what the value would be, is like, I want to see it though. I want to see what he's going to get traded for. Like, let's go.
All right, so I got more to add for you. Fan question from Reagan, because I know you know the Phils quite well. Maybe not as well as Kratz, but you know him quite well. Is it risky for the Phillies?
Better than Kratz.
Oh,
yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
he was
find
like
out.
a full-time employee. I was like a part-time intern.
Radio.
He was the one that came in to like, hey.
I took his job. They fired him so he could be a TV guy because he has Franny's a face for TV. I have a face for radio. But this is why me and Franny are friends. Franny's like that really good-looking girl who finds ugly girls to hang out with to make them look better. So that's why we're friends. I'm the ugly girl in this group. But continue with Reagan's
you guys have
comments.
beautiful blue eyes, both of you. Anyway, Reagan said, is it risky for the Phillies to add Nolan Arenado and lose prospects, potential players? I mean, we're going to talk to Derrick Gould later about the Cardinals. You could also make the case if Arenado's not available for Goldie as an option for the Phillies too. Yes. So
I would say that more than the Arenado one.
Would you do that? Like if you're the Phillies, are you giving up? They don't have a great farm system as it is, but they're also in win now mode.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, I mean, you got what, like 7, 8 years left with Bryce's contract. You got 11. So you got 10 more years with Trey after this. And that's big and doable. Like, I want to know ultimately, if you're going to do that, what are you going to do with Aaron Nola? Like, is that the telltale sign that you are done? Like there's zero chance that he's going to re-sign with you, right? Like they did everything in the offseason, spring training. We know that whole thing didn't go through. But, like, that's the question I want to know, because Zach Wheeler's coming up. So are they going to have, like, where's the pitching coming from after that? And if you go for an Arenado and Goldschmidt, like, you're not giving up, Painter or you're Abel. Like, those are guys that you're trying to build up for, you. So what are they going to do? Like, where are they going to go with it? Like, I don't understand, like, a huge trade like that for them based on building up this prospect list, right? It's like saying Cincinnati needs to go out and do something big because they need to recoup what they lost, and you're like, no, they built this up, and it's going to be a lengthy success rate. I feel like for the Reds because they've stayed patient with it, So when it comes to the Phillies, I don't see doing that trade would be feasible. Like just as far as the building that depth.
It's tough for you to watch the Nats sometimes day in and day out as a TV guy. You're always a positive person. How awesome is it that you get to watch the National League East, though, in the majority of your games? Is it so
it's
awesome?
Oh, my God, it's so awesome. Like, anyone that – so you get bagged on, like, fans, like, why do you talk about the other team? It's like, I don't want to talk bad about our team. Like, what's wrong with that? I mean – The fact that we get to go, against the Braves as much as we do, it sucks. I get it for the record, but at the end of the day, you're going, I am locked in pitch one because of Ronald Acuna Jr. It's like we get to see star after star. You do the same thing with the Phillies. What the Marlins have built, we're 0-6 against them this year. We can't beat them the last 2 years. They are nasty, right? And then, just watching the New York Mets, look, it's kind of comical at times too, right? We all know that. They spent all that money and they're not playing up to – but they still got stars I want to see. Like, it's awesome. This is what it's supposed to be. Like, it is the arms race. Yeah, I get it. I get where the Nats are, but they're trying to build up to get to that arms race. And it's going to be fun.
Who has in the East, who has the best chance in the next – I'm going to say 5 years because the entire Braves lineup is locked in for the next 7.
Right.
Who in the next 5 years has the most first or second places in the NL East?
Oh, Braves. Braves for sure.
Okay.
Just based on – because they got so much after the Braves. I'm going to say the Phillies because I do believe in the Mick Abels and the Andrew Painters coming up. If they keep them, obviously, that stays healthy. That part is going to be real. Look, the one thing that I've said since I think it's January on MLB Network Radio is don't sleep on the Braves getting into that Shohei whole deal. They are, if you look at the financials for them, 22 and 21 million is their next, like, whatever. It's Riley and Olsen. That's the highest paid player they have. They got the greatest value, players in Albies and Acuna. They're going to have to pay up on some of these starters, but they are so far under the luxury tax. I'm like, I get it. It is the longest of long shots, but could you imagine? Like, Shohei wants to win. Why wouldn't I go to that lineup? Could you imagine him in that lineup?
That would be insane. No, you're right. He wants to win. You want a consistent winner. I mean, There are not many teams that you can look at and say they're probably making the playoffs every single year for a long time. All their dudes are signed up. You're right. For me, that would be more. I don't think he'd be past going to Atlanta area. I just think for me, the Braves usually are not going to that figure, and they have a lot of rules with how many years they usually like to go to with free agents. This is different. I agree. And also, you know what? I think they can make the case to their ownership group, and they're part of a publicly traded company.
I don't think.
Hey, we're going to profit.
I don't think anybody has to make
it.
Right. I don't think anybody is going to have to talk to the ownership group about this. It's just going to be like free fall. Like the owners are going to be like, yeah. Shohei, yeah, anything you want. Wait, you said a bill? Yeah, we'll go there. Okay. I mean, you're not going to really ask. Everyone wants Shohei. Like, if you don't, we're on the same atmosphere on this one. Like that, what he is as a starter, look, if he breaks down at some point in time, great. He's a fantastic reliever, right? That has a chance to pitch 3 times a week, 4 times a week.
And he's just going to
mash.
Yeah.
Right. He's just going to that's the part. Okay, Brock, okay, since you and we do not have the same power as Kratz, we know this, okay?
Yes.
But we have the look. So that goes there. What would you want of Shohei? What ability? This is the superhero comment, right? What is the ability you would want of Shohei?
Yeah, I would want his power. I would want to be able to hit like he can hit, but I also want to know. I've always wanted to know what it feels like to throw 100.
True. Yeah.
So the fact that he can do both is an absolute. It's an absolute.
That's the part you're like, come on, man.
It's which one do you pick? I just want half of one of them.
Give me half,
a quarter of one of his talents.
I would like to be as fast as he would. Because everyone says it doesn't slump, right? I'm like, yeah, I slumped every day with my legs. So I'd want his speed.
Hey, Franny, let's finish with this. And you don't have to do a whole explanation. But let's say I'm in hibernation. And when I wake up, if the Nats aren't in the postseason, I die. So what year is that? So I make sure I wake up at the right time.
Freddie does go into hibernation.
So you need to play it safe.
He lives in Jersey, and he's from California. He goes into hibernation.
I go into hibernation.
I call him in the off season, and he's like, "It's so cold here."
That's me until I move.
It's frozen. It's freezing ice. What is this rain? It freezes.
I have seasonal depression. It's terrible.
No, and I asked Kratz. He's like, "Yeah, I'm sweating right now. What are you talking about? I'm in a shorts and t-shirt. It's all good."
Anyway, go ahead.
I'm gonna say 3 years. 3 years.
So I think 3 years. 2026. They'll be in.
And the reason why I say that, honestly, is because the East is loaded. So it's not an easy way just to say, oh, yeah, they're in the playoffs because of this. You got to prove it, right? There's got to be some time. But, it's going to be a nice ascent, I think, to get there. I think it's going to – so that's why I'm going to go 3 years.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to sleep right now. We're going to break. Franny, great to see you. Appreciate the time.
Great to see you. Congrats on the book, Kratzy.
Appreciate you, Rumi.
Brock, you and I,
Kevin,
we don't have as much power.
No way.
Everyone follow him on Twitter at Kevin Frandsen. You can watch him on Nats TV, hear him on MLB Network Radio. We'll be right back on Stadium on Foul Territory. So I'm going to give you a fake gift. You are now the owner of the Angels. Yeah. What are you doing with Shohei Ohtani over the next 6 to 8 months? From a trade perspective, being where the team's at right now and missing guys like Trout and others in the offseason, what is the game plan?
I'm not trading them.
Really? Even if they're 6-7 games out by the time we get to the end of the month, not trading him.
No, because let's be honest, how many guys get traded and then re-sign?
Almost none.
Never. But you have to have
Aroldis
your
Chapman.
some knowledge that he's not going to resign if you're not progressing at all with talks with him.
Yeah, but the problem, like, you know this, like, the problem is that guys, as you get closer and closer, it becomes harder and harder to say, yeah, I'll do an extension with, 2 months left to go or a month left to go. As you get closer to be able to go out and, like, get in the baseball Tinder world and get to date whatever team you want for a weekend or a week,
Swiping.
Yeah,
Just
it's like,
swiping.
yeah, not you. Oh, this looks like a good place to go.
I want to see what
So I just think that I personally want him on my team, so I want to do everything I can to re-sign him. So I want, to keep that relationship going, and then I'm going to press hard. And like my belief is that I would go shorter for more. Like I saw somebody throw out something about 3 for 300. I don't know that's not the number, but like I would prefer to go, 5 for 300, 5 for 250, whatever that annual AAV that they're getting is, cool. But I better be going to like a place that's committed to winning, you know, right? And I mean truly committed, and like maybe those are discussions you have where like, hey, listen, if we get it 4 years into this deal and things are still going great, but we need players, can we figure out a way to restructure this so that we can bring in, because like you're only as good, like look at it. One time in the history of baseball, a free agent contract of over $200 million has led to a World Series title.
Is that right?
Scherzer?
Max Scherzer. That's it.
And now back to foul territory.
We're back. All right, first poll question. What were your thoughts, by the way, on a team that's in first right now that is not going to be in first place?
My thought was Cleveland. I felt like Cleveland was the easiest one. I still have the Twins. I mean, they had 2 of their starters in the All-Star game. So I just lean on that starting for the long haul, and that division stinks. But, I mean, I can't disagree with the poll results either.
Yeah, Reds are winning the pack here, and then Dodgers, Cleveland, Texas, Tampa Bay. I feel like that's offensive to the Reds.
It is.
Fans don't think that the Reds could win their division. Like, who else you got? It's the Reds or the Brewers.
I feel like they're on my side of the ledger here, that the Brewers their pitching is going to push them through. The Reds are like the shiny new sports car that you forgot to put gas into. Maybe they're not. Maybe we're wrong at the end of the season. Maybe they don't run out of gas. But right now they're driving fast and they're going around corners. They just have to – I just feel like the long haul again of the season with the starting pitching, especially Big Woo coming back. And now they picked up Tehran, who's actually doing really well. Lauer's coming back. Maybe we get traded. But, they have a starting pitching depth that's not going to make – the team just beat each other's brains in, which their offense is not doing right now. No. So hopefully they pick up a Cody Bellinger, maybe?
That would be nice. Yeah.
No, he's going to the Yankees, I thought.
I think so too. I mean, I think they're going to go after him, but
no,
what do you think?
I agree. Obviously, Brewers need Big Woo. We need Big Woo back on the bump, and he's coming back. I think the Reds roll with it, man. I think they keep going. I think they ride the high, and everything seems to be clicking for them right now. They've got a good vibe going. They've got young guys. They've got veterans. Votto's back. I like the Reds, and I mean, like you said, the Indians. I mean, that division is so bad. I picked the Twins, I think, too, to win it. So I'll say Indians as well.
Guardians. I made the same mistake.
Gosh, the Indians are definitely not winning the AL.
Indians are not.
The Guardians
are not winning.
Yeah.
Guardians, are bad, man. See, that's why.
All good. They only switched their name a couple of years ago. It's fine.
Well.
Your next poll question: best baseball book of all time. A. Moneyball. B. Ball 4. C. The Tao of the Backup Catcher. Just came out this week. Or D. The Science of Hitting Whatever. I really want the FT fans to show up right now and vote for what's right. That's all I'm going to say.
Let's not manipulate the fans. Let's not manipulate them.
No, we are manipulating the fans.
Let's not.
Okay? I am manipulating
We're
the
not
vote.
that kind of show.
I am heading on watchstadium.com/foul territory right now to place a vote. So get after it. let's hit our baseballer viral hit of the week.
Especially when you consider that Hosley's 2 for 2 with 2 doubles, an RBI, and a walk-off. Dustin Baber with a barrel, but foul! Caught by a fan, and that's your ball game! A laser beam from Dustin Baber! What a play by that young man! And the Nanners win 5 points to 1!
And the entire team going out there to swarm the fan! That is why you bring your club to a ball game! Game ender by the fans! The Bananas win it 5-1!
Are you kidding me? Look at our hero tonight!
That's amazing.
It's amazing. It is such a cool aspect. The baseball, don't expect like dudes hitting like rockets out of the ballpark or guys throwing 100 miles an hour. But so the baseball level is like this. The entertainment level is through the roof. There's so many things I want to break down with this video, but I want to hear what Brock has to say about it first.
Bottom of the 9th, bases low. This is what you dream of as a kid, right? 2 outs. You're a fan down the third base line. The ball's hit to you. And you catch it and win the game. Like, that kid runs on the field. They're celebrating. How cool is that, man? Like, the Savannah Bananas are doing it right. Like, I mean, you can't get a ticket to the Savannah Bananas to save your life. Like, they were here in Nashville, packed. Like, unbelievable. And stuff like that is why, man. They're making it fun, and it's fun to watch videos. That kid, did you see how excited he was? Like, I think he caught the ball, and then he didn't really realize that the game was over because he just won it for the Bananas, and then he realized it, and then he's on the field running around like,
with the guys,
with the team. Unbelievable.
Like a 30-second twist of like you're just chilling there. You maybe just like got a hot dog and a soda. All of a sudden you catch a ball and you're on the field like the hero.
He didn't even know where to go. Like he just went through the crowd and they're all like, he's walking and they're all like trying to high five him. The best part, I mean, so many of the best parts. The announcer calls them the Nanners. The Nanners win. And this dude comes out in just full, he could be anywhere from 16 to 23 years old. You know why I know that?
Why?
Because he has an AirPod in one ear. He's got one AirPod in. Then it's like,
you think he's listening to the game?
No, he definitely just has an AirPod in because everybody has an AirPod in.
Well, 16-year-olds get paid to do that, right?
What?
Or they just do it for fun?
Put AirPods in?
Like 24/7?
I mean, my son has an AirPod in 24/7. And I'm like, can you hear me? He's like, what?
Do they do like, hey, can you hear me? And they don't have them in, and then they put them in, and they're like,
yeah, oh, that would be a good one. That would be a good one. No, it's so awesome. There's so many things that are just.
Ooh. Quick fan question live from EZ. Would Steve Bartman love this fan rule?
He didn't even catch it.
I know, but he would at least have the opportunity. I'm just saying.
And it was a rocket, too. The batter, like, he didn't react right away, but the catcher was like, yeah. Like, the catcher had, like, full celebration, and then the batter friggin' spikes his bat. Oh, man.
Because the guy in row 2, seat J, caught the ball.
Yeah.
It's like you call like you're a pro. You call because the MLB PAA has people there all the time. How'd you do? Oh, we lost. Nanner fan caught it. Caught my foul ball.
It was a 1-0 game too. That was the other part.
I know. That was awesome. So.
I was 0 for 4 with 1 foul ball.
Exactly. Hey, props to Baseballer for putting that up. You can follow them at the Baseballer on IG and hit baseballer.com. Wait, bring it back to me real quick because their merch is out. Bring it back. This is
good merch.
This is fresh.
It's
you
good
can
merch.
give it a feel.
No,
it's soft.
I know. It is.
Is
nice.
that Derrick Jeter?
It's
Is that
very
a Derek
breathable
Jeter
too.
Silhouette?
Nah, it's better. It's Baseballer. Way better comments
Brock
and quotes than Jeter. Jeter's the little
Oh,
ice
is that
cream
me?
right back.
Yeah, that does look like me.
So my other favorite Ryan Dempster story, and him and I have talked about this too. He was pitching for the Marlins, and I was with the Twins, and this is back in the Metrodome. There was nothing to do. There was nowhere to go. The clubhouses were connected. There was literally they were connected. There was a hallway, right? No, there was a hallway that was about from here to the table, and that was it. That was where they did the laundry. But the clubhouses were literally connected. He goes out in the first. I think he gave up like 8 runs in the first inning.
No, it was sort of. It felt like that. It was 4 innings, 4+. I gave up 10 runs. I should have give up 20. Like, my outs were Mike Lowell diving in the hole and Preston Wilson crashing in the center field wall for a catch. Like, there was no – I finally hit Doug Mankiewicz. Remember that?
Yeah.
I killed him right in the ass. Just boom, and he looks out and he's like, what the heck, you know? And I'm like, you guys are taking softball swings up there. What else am I supposed to do? And he just looked at me and goes, yeah, good point. You know, and he just went down to first, and then they took me out of the game.
The boys are wearing shorts.
It was like they were. It was BP. Hats were on backwards. You know, they weren't even wearing helmets. They were just like, we're fine. You know.
But he will be good. Afterwards, I don't know what happened. I went up to the clubhouse to grab some, and the clubhouse guy on the visiting side, because they're connected, goes, you guys, you know what Dempster's doing right now? And we're like, no. He's like, he took a case of beer, went down to the batting cage, and was hitting balls off a tee, chugging beers after every swing. And we're like, wait,
for
what?
hours, dude. Missed the team bus, everything. It was a tough grind. You got to find ways to cope, you know. And like that was, it was like I got to get through. I needed aggression. I didn't want to break a sink. I already did that once in Pittsburgh. That didn't turn out well. I snapped in the dugout in Pittsburgh. You know, you go down the stairs. There's that bathroom, right? Yep. So I got a bat, and I'm just like going to town on the sink in there. And it's just like whang, and I'm just hammering away on this thing, you know. And it's just like, boom, and the swing just goes, boom, and it's hanging, right? And I'm just like,
finish it.
Boom. And the best part was water right in my face, and I just stood there, and I'm like,
I deserve that.
Just take it all, man.
So that's what that feels like.
And now back to foul territory.
We are back on Stadium. Brockstar, Kratz, Braun, and it is time for your BetMGM locks, which are going to be done a little bit differently tonight. Okay? No one's winning, no one's losing tonight. There are no games, which I'm actually pissed about, for the record. I do want the one game on Thursday for MLB to own. That would be the thing that I would ask Tony Clark. We had him on the other day. I know they're trying to give a break to players. Cool. Everyone gets a break except for like 60 dudes. Okay, and then it rotates.
Wherever the closest to the All-Star game is.
Down.
You can't like next year. You can't have it in Texas. You can't have it in Seattle. That stadium, everybody in Seattle that works there right now, because I was there for the All-American game and they have been hauling. They have been doing stuff on the field. There's like a girls' home run derby. Then there's like a hit throw and run derby. Like it was everything.
So California, something on the
Texas
West Coast.
Texas is out. You could have it in Houston, all that stuff.
Ooh, that was fresh. Brock, we've never done this before, and we all just submitted what we wanted. And it didn't have to be a money line. It could be a run line. It could be K-prop or a hitting prop, whatever. And we were all just like, nah, NL is winning. Elias Diaz is winning tonight. And they did.
First time we were all twins. We all came in with the same thing.
Well, a lock is a lock. A lock means we are trying to guarantee something is happening as close as possible. It's our favorite pick of the night. Brock, unfortunately, I have some bad news to break. You're the only FT host that is down. Now it's $15, but you are the only one. Everyone is up.
Kratzy has been on a roll.
Yes.
I think last time I was on the show, he was down a couple grand.
Jump aboard.
Kratz is legit good at picks.
Follow Kratzy.
It's hot. It is hot. I'm actually moving. I'm building a new studio based on all the money I'm winning in real life, learning how to gamble.
If you followed all of our exact picks, even though they slumped and had to kind of go through some growing pains and learning to start, even if you did that and went through all of that, you'd be up thousands and thousands of dollars right now. That's real, okay?
1 million.
We keep receipts every freaking day. All right, let's look at some lines, win totals that have moved. Biggest increase on live moment. The Reds going from 64.5, which vouch for me.
Oh,
I pressed hard, and then when they started slow, I doubled down. So now it's at 84.5. That's much more dicey. Marlins from 72.5 to 87.5. I might sneak an under on that one. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
The Orioles are at 90.5. I like the over there. The Royals, I'm just mixing in what I like. Down to 52.5. Cardinals down to 75.5. Mets down to 81.5. Any thoughts here?
If I'm looking for a lock here, my lock would be the Mets over 81.5.
So you think they'll be at least slightly over 500?
I just don't think they're going to.
Or 500.
My other one was going to be the Cardinals under 75.5, because if the Cardinals really do, and we'll get into it with Ken, if they really do sell, like you hear a GM say they're selling and they're building for essentially next year, 75 might be a reach. That's only 6 games under 5. No, that's not 6 games under 500. That would be
500's 81 and 81.
right. But
It's close. I get what you're saying.
yeah, it's not technically. But either way, I think the Mets will come up. I think they'll start to figure something out. It'll be too little, too late. But man, it's amazing. I was trying to think back to what our picks were before the season, and I remember the Reds was that was the easiest one. If we had a lock at the beginning of the season, that would have been a super easy lock that they were going to go over 64.5.
Hell yeah. Just give me a team, Brock, and then I got to do a little reader, and we got to hit a quick break.
I have a question. So if you picked the Reds at 64.5, you took the over. Now it's at 84, so now you're...
No, you were locked in.
You locked it. You lock it in at what the price is. It moves up as the season goes, dude. So, yeah, you kick back, and it's no sweat bet, baby.
I'm with Kratz. I think the Mets is the one on that list. I think the other ones, you're going, up 20 wins with the Reds. You're going all the biggest increases are tough to bet on. I feel like, but I think the Mets get hot and play some better baseball in the second half.
All right, so the thing to do is hit foul on the bonus code. You can get the offer if you sign up and deposit into your newly created BetMGM Sportsbook account on iOS, Android, or BetMGM.com. Place your first bet offer, receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses. And if that bet does lose, those bonus bets are available once the wager is settled. Always bet responsibly. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll be back to our locks on Friday, which is tomorrow. We'll be in Atlantic City, some of us. So check that out. Todd Father will be back with us. Hour number 2 on Foul Territory's YouTube channel includes Ken Rosenthal joining us in moments and Derrick Goold on the Cardinals. Load up your questions in the chat. We'll see you on there.
So I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How you doing? FT Live, hour number 2. I'm still sober, and I mean that not by alcohol or beverages or whatever, just sleep. I'm still here. I only made one mistake in the first hour.
That's okay.
And when I brought us all back, I included Pierzynski. He's not here. He is here in spirit and in our Slack channel that we chat around in all day.
He's in the chat. He's
in the chat.
He's probably.
You just want AJ to be here.
That's what it is.
Yeah, okay. I get a lot of AJ. I get a lot of AJ. AJ would be the first to say also on the other end. He'd be like, "Yeah, I get a lot of Braun. I can do a day or here or there without Braun." I think he enjoyed his time when Trisha filled in for me and Layla. But yes, I am here every damn day. So is Brockstar today and Kratzy with me right now. Not every day. Not a grinder yet.
Rockstar is not a grinder.
Not a grinder yet.
You know that.
No.
Grinder.
It's okay.
I'll poke my head in a couple times a month and then
you
guys handle the dirty business.
It's like some of the extreme sushi. You got to try it every once in a while to see if you like it, but you can't. You're not ready yet. Your little tummy isn't ready for foul territory every day.
My little tummy is not ready for foul territory.
No.
You know who's a grinder? He works for Fox and The Athletic and foul territory and fair territory. Can we run the promo first? Boom, there it is. Every Monday. This one's came out a few days ago, but it's still really good. So if you want to listen to it right now on Apple, Spotify, if you're listening, or watch it on YouTube, it's there for you. Ken Rosenthal joining us right now. Hopefully got an ounce of sleep back home. Yes. What's the golf clap for, Brock?
Ken.
Hey, thanks, Brock.
We're welcoming him in. How do you do it, Ken? How do you work for all of those things?
Oh, I don't know. I just do that. Hey, I'm honored here to be in the presence of the subject of a book. I can see it's right there. Looking good, Erik. Congrats, man. It's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You're a big help with this whole thing. You helped us, get connect us to people with the Athletic, and they've been putting the excerpt out. Like, I have no idea. Like, writing a book, I am so impressed. One of my players asked me who on foul territory could win in a spelling contest, and I didn't know he meant like you too. And he goes, "Why is it such a tough answer?" He's like, "Of course it's Ken. That guy doesn't seem like he ever spells anything wrong."
No, I wouldn't go that far. But I will say this. For people out there who might be curious about the book, Erik partnered with one of the great baseball writers of our generation, I guess you put it that way, Tim Brown. He's outstanding. He can write like few others. And I mean that sincerely. So I'm looking forward to reading this once we get through maybe the playoffs when I have a little time, but I will read it.
Yes.
Playoffs? Playoffs? Are you kidding me? If I don't hear Shohei Ohtani is traded out of your mouth first and you haven't read my book, then I think you're slacking, Ken. And I would never say that because I completely agree with what you said, Tim. And you see superstars in different industries. Like in baseball, we see superstars all the time. They stand out above even all-stars. Ken and Tim are two guys that I've had a lot of interaction with, probably more interaction with than anybody else. And their preparation and the way they go about writing an article is completely different than everybody else. So yes, I agree with you. Tim is a superstar. You are also in that realm too, Ken. So.
Well, thanks, Erik. I'm sure people don't want to hear us, just congratulating each other. So let's get down to it.
Yeah, let's get to business. I will second, though. Tim Brown's awesome. So check out the book. We'll talk more about it later. Okay, Ken, let's start with you hustling on a Wednesday when everyone else is traveling and doing whatever else, and really representing the people here who are like, okay, Oakland says they talked to the league. The league says nothing from Oakland. You cleared everything up, so let's first get your synopsis of where we stand with Oakland versus Commissioner Manfred.
Well, what the story I wrote yesterday really was about was the city of Oakland wanting to establish with the commissioner, through that meeting the mayor had with Commissioner Rob Manfred, that they did make an offer, that there was a very, as they put it, specific proposal presented to the A's, and they felt, and they feel today, that it was a good proposal. Baseball, if you remember, as represented by the commissioner, his comment initially was there was no offer, there's nothing on the table, etc. That is what the city of Oakland, as represented by the mayor in that meeting, wanted to disprove. It seems to me they did a pretty effective job disproving that. There was definitely a proposal there. Baseball's next question would be, okay, can you execute this? And they do have some questions along those lines. But remember, the A's were asking for a $12 billion developmental project around the ballpark in Oakland, a development project that would actually just include a ballpark. In Las Vegas, all they're getting is a ballpark. So what the ask was a whole lot different in Oakland than it was in Las Vegas. And the other part of it, too, is it seems to me, after talking with the mayor and other people involved in that effort, it's a sincere effort. It was a sincere effort. And they had, I wouldn't say moved mountains, but they had certainly accomplished a lot in their quest to get a deal done. Was it all the way there? Maybe not. Was it there to baseball's satisfaction? Maybe not. But that's why you negotiate. In my mind, after researching this article and writing it, it seems to me if Major League Baseball really wanted to be in Oakland, if the A's really wanted to be in Oakland, they could have found a way. Now, baseball and the A's might dispute that. They might say we've been trying for 10 plus years. But if you look at all the documents that are attached to what we wrote, and we printed all of them, the ones that were presented to the commissioner, certainly there had been progress made. And certainly there was something on the table. And if they really wanted to, they could have gone from there.
So you wrote in your article that the mayor was elected January 9th. Is that correct?
Yes, inaugurated. She was elected in November, brought into
Okay.
office in January.
Is there any inclination that the A's approached her after being elected, or maybe even during the campaign? Not saying anything nefarious, just like, hey, now that you're in, we'd really love to get this because this didn't work out with the previous mayor, who I think had been in office since 2015, I think you said in your article.
Correct. Yes. They had talked, and there were negotiations going on. And in fact, when Commissioner Manfred told me that he thought the mayor's intentions were good, but she was kind of late to the process, obviously just getting there in January, and the bad seeds had been sown, so to speak. And that's true. And at the same time, if it really was over, I think the expression he used was it was kind of over before she got there. Well, then why do you negotiate still? They were still negotiating. So, yes, there was communication, Eric. There were still negotiations. And one of the points that the mayor made to me was they've gotten 2 additional grants since, I guess, the initial proposal was made in April. So more money was coming in. Her quote was, the offer is getting better all the time. So, again, these things often disintegrate into semantics. He said, she said, and it's difficult to know exactly where both parties are. But once more, the impression I took away was that if there was a desire on the A's part and baseball's part to get a deal done in Oakland, they certainly could have gone forward in a more meaningful way than they ultimately did. And beyond that, the negotiations were to the point, Eric, where when the deal with Vegas was announced, or the binding agreement, whenever that was, in April, I believe, Oakland was blindsided. They felt they were close, really close to a deal.
Ken, so we've got Rob saying a bunch of things that aren't true. Surprise, surprise. Right? What's the point? Right? Like, is he trying to save face? Is he trying to make Oakland look bad? What is the point of not just saying, hey, we got this deal from Oakland? Is it because, like you said earlier, do they not want, or they just don't want a team in Oakland, or what's going on?
I'm not sure. And you're asking me to read his mind, and I'm not very good at doing that, not just with him, but with anybody. I still don't understand why he said what he did about there being no offer. Now, if you want to say, well, it wasn't a technical term sheet, okay. But I think we published over 200 pages of documents on what was being discussed and what was planned and all of that. So clearly there was a lot going on. I don't know why he took the tack he did. I don't know why he insulted the people of Oakland that day, the fans, when he kind of mockingly referred to the reverse boycott as an average night in Major League Baseball in terms of attendance. I don't know why you would say that. In fact, you could make the argument from afar, baseball already has won in their minds. They want to go to Vegas. They got a deal on Vegas. Just go graciously. That's not what happened. I will say in these particular comments he made to me the other day, there was none of that. There was none kicking the dog or anything like that. He just said, we had an open, good conversation, but it's just not there, in his opinion. And okay. And in fairness, baseball has reason to be skeptical of Oakland because of all the failures before. But this was a new mayor with a very passionate feeling for this. I think that came through in the 2 articles we ran. We ran the news story and the Q&A. And she clearly is a fighter, and she clearly wants this done. Now, is it too late? Probably it's too late. But as she said, until there's a shovel in the ground in Vegas, she's going to keep at it.
Wait, why? I guess you just said it's too late. Like, I feel like there's still a chance, but maybe I'm being too positive. But I think, why would the owners, because she printed out 31 copies, one for him and one for each owner. I think Fisher's probably going to burn his. But
Fisher's not real. He's not real.
He's an AI.
He's a sim.
Okay. Why would the commission, or whatever that the relocation commission that I think is headed up by Antanasio, why would they not tell him, hey, John, like you need to at least look into this. We don't want you in a smaller market. We want to stay in a diverse market. Why would they not at least look at this and tell him, hey, like, let's pump the brakes a little bit?
Erik, excellent question. And I don't know this for certain. Actually, I do know this for certain because the mayor, we quoted her to this effect. She wants the owners to see what they had. That's why she made the show of giving him the copies of these documents. She wants them to be aware of just what happened. And if I'm a large market owner, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I have serious questions here. This is a team that's going to go right back on revenue sharing when they get this deal. They might have gotten right back on revenue sharing in Oakland as well, but maybe in a new ballpark in Oakland, if it succeeded in the way that the Giants succeeded with their new ballpark some years ago and to this day, then perhaps they would be off revenue sharing. So if I'm a large market owner, I'm asking some serious questions. Actually, if I'm any owner, I'm asking John Fisher, why is this so much better than what you could have had? Tell me, why didn't you just go for a ballpark in Oakland and make a much easier deal than reach for this deal in Vegas where you're only getting a ballpark? These are all fair questions, and I don't know if this is going to be railroaded through or not. It's difficult for me to know or say, but if I'm an owner, especially a large market owner, but any owner, I'm asking hard questions.
Do you get a chance to have a quick follow-up? Like, do you have a call into Manfred's office? I don't know how, like, requests for, questioning happens, like, for a rebuttal. Have we had any kind of rebuttal? I know this just came out. I think they had their meeting Sunday. Is that when they met together?
Yes, they met Sunday. I talked to the commissioner before the All-Star game, and I don't know that he needs to say or would say anything more than he said to me then. I told him what the mayor had said and where her position was, and he responded in kind. So the next question really is, what happens with the relocation committee? Do they get this thing going forward? And actually, the first question before that is, do the A's get their act together? As Manfred said in his press conference with the Baseball Writers Association of America a couple of days ago, right the morning of the All-Star game, they have not submitted their full relocation proposal. And on top of not fully submitting it, they have not seemingly submitted the part about where they're going to play from 2025 to 27. So is their act fully together? Based on past history, a good guess is no, because they've had, as our Tim Kawakami has written many times, numerous deals over the years that have fallen through. And this one's further down the line. There's no question about it. Do I think it will happen? Yes. But there are still some obstacles. There are still some political opposition in Las Vegas. This is not totally clean as far as just getting a deal from point A to point B. So that might be also why Oakland is again making public its desires and what it has done substantively to get this done. We'll see how it all plays out.
You know how people love the show Succession? You heard about it? No? Oh.
I don't think so.
People
I don't
my
have
age-
time for a show.
People
I
my
want a
age
show.
love that show, okay?
It's a great show.
Even
people my age,
doesn't have
Scott,
time.
even people my age love that show.
Well, we're the
All
same
right.
age. But people will love whatever this is going to be made into one day, because it will be something, and this is ridiculous. Like, there'll be even like an episode where they're like, you forgot the relocation papers? He like gave it to like his cousins, friends, like something else, and he's supposed to do it, and it's like, the second cousin
I'll tell you what,
Bob
Scott.
didn't do the papers.
How about this? Just as a fantasy hypothetical. They get the team back in Oakland, and they make Moneyball 2. It wouldn't be the same as Moneyball 1, of course. Moneyball 1 was an entirely different topic, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
There would be a lot of money for the Oakland A's if they got that new stadium built. It's beautiful. The renderings are beautiful, and it would be right on the water. Everything would be great, but seemingly that's not where baseball wants to be.
Moneyball 2, how we got our ballpark in Oakland. It was a 12-year fiasco with us moving to Vegas, but not really, and forgetting papers. And anyway, all right, let's get to the All-Star game, because you were there, obviously. You're on the field, covering it for Fox. Give me your takeaways. What stood out to you? What did you hear when you were there? Like, any cool occurrences being on the field for that whole time?
Yes, and to me, what stands out most about the All-Star game in this era now when it doesn't count anymore is just how much fun the players have participating and being there. And you really get a feel for it from my vantage point. That's the one game of the year where I'm in the dugout. I'm right at the end. Usually I'm in a camera pit, which is adjoining the dugout. I'm not in the dugout. The All-Star game, nobody really minds. It's not a big deal. But you get a sense of just how excited the players are to be there. And I'll give you one example. Orlando Arcia at one point, I believe he grounded out. Pretty routine out, and he's running down the first base line in front of the American League dugout, and all the Latin guys on the bench in the American League dugout are just yelling at him and giving him grief. I didn't know what they were saying. It was Spanish, and he's yelling back, and it's just that kind of fun thing that you see that you don't see in any other competition during the season. And the fact that we mic all the players at Fox and we get such interesting exchanges and conversations out of that, that's another thing that always stands out to me, or at least has the last couple of years when we've done it. And also, this game was actually a pretty good game, which isn't always the case, of course. And Diaz as the hero was really cool. 32-year-old first-time All-Star for the Rockies. Not a lot of people knew who he was, and what a moment he had.
That's the one answer, too, when people say, well, why do we need a representative from every team? Well, it was kind of a cool moment. For Rockies fans, Ken, this is the moment of the year. Safe
Apex.
to say?
Apex.
Probably, yeah. And actually, even when Brent Rooker came up, this was very interesting. And there was a contingent of A's fans there, and they were screaming and chanting, "Sell the team." And that might be their moment. Outside of the reverse boycott, that might be their moment of the year. So that was pretty cool. Oh, and by the way, to the A's fans who tweeted at me saying, you guys did the Ohtani interview when we were doing that chant. You did it on purpose so people wouldn't pay attention. Let me tell you something, okay? We interview Ohtani when Ohtani wants to be interviewed, not when any group of fans is starting a chant. Oh, so I just wanted to clear that up a little bit.
So A's fans know Ohtani doesn't want to go to Oakland. He planned that interview for when you guys started the chant.
Well, no, actually, the accusation on social media was that Fox did this. Fox trying to cover up what was going on, and here's Ken, and he kept asking questions. Guys, I love conspiracy theories, but no, this was not that.
I believe it. It was Fox. Yeah, Ohtani. He doesn't want to go to Oakland. He wants to go to Vegas. I heard. That's what he. I mean, that's what he told me. You know. So.
Fox got the scoop.
I got the scoop. I'm in tight with Ohtani.
Sure.
I want to talk a little bit about the home run derby. I know that, man, the home run derby used to be one of my favorite events to watch back in the Ken Griffey Jr., Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire days. Now, I'm not the biggest fan. I like the timing. I like the time, like the 3-minute time. Now it just seems like a rushed BP. And we're not getting to see guys really lean on balls and try to hit balls out of the stadium. It's tough to follow. It goes too fast. Guys are exhausted. Do you think we may end up changing? Are we sticking with this routine? Like, I just feel like there's a better way to put on a better show for fans.
First off, Brock, I'll be honest. I am not as involved with the home run derby as a lot of people, simply because it's ESPN's event, not Fox's, and I don't have to pay it much attention. I also don't cover it for our website. Jason Stark is one of the great home run derby experts, the leading home run derby expert, I would say, and he does a brilliant job. So that said, I am with you. I have always thought, and the rules have changed over the years, they've been adjusted, it's always quite confusing. And it's tough to say what's going on for some people. Now, that said, fans, younger fans especially, they love it. And they love it. It's actually, for a lot of fans, a better event than the game itself. This year, I don't know that it was, because the game was pretty good, but in many years, that's the case. So I would say that there are always adjustments that can be made for a competition like that, and maybe they should consider some, but it is an overwhelmingly popular thing, and it is a lot of fun. Even with all the concerns that you just expressed, when Julio hit the 41 in that one round the other day, I mean, that was crazy. And Alonso and what he's done in the past, it's a fun event. It's just something that maybe can be tweaked a little bit.
Do you think, based on MLB's track record, or not think, have you heard, since the All-Star Game is still the highest rated All-Star event of all 4 major All-Star games, that they're going to want to tweak anything with the All-Star Game, or is it just going to be a standard MLB, well, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it, wait till something else, or do you hear some things coming down the pipeline that could be changed, like last year where they started miking guys up?
Well, that kind of thing is different than the format of the game, right? That was an innovation. Fox drove it. Fox has wanted to do this kind of thing for a long time, and we got a collective bargaining agreement, and things were more peaceful with the union, and they got everyone to agree that it was a good thing. And everyone does agree it's a good thing. So those kinds of things, Erik, are kind of separate from the actual game itself and the format of the game. I don't know that it will change anytime soon, but keep in mind, at some point, once the Oakland and Tampa Bay situations resolve with regard to their ballparks, we're going to go to 32 teams. There is likely going to be radical realignment. And at that point, the leagues as we know them might not exist. That would be the point, in my opinion, when you change the format of the All-Star Game. And Joel Sherman of the New York Post, who's been a guest on this show, of course, he had an interesting idea the other day, basically saying the way to get guys like Ellie De La Cruz in the game is to have an over 26 group of players as one team, under 26 as the other. That's one thing that would be cool. A lot of people have talked over the years about World All-Stars versus American All-Stars. I think that would be a lot of fun. Wouldn't take away from the WBC. Now, another thing you could do, and this has been discussed too at times, play the semifinals and the finals of the WBC All-Star Week and change everything around entirely. So there are a lot of ways they can go, but I don't expect any change in the format until we have that big realignment with expansion.
I'll do one more fan questions coming in hot, and I know you'll get a lot more of this coming up over the next few weeks. So I just like the way that Justin in the chat kind of gave you a lot of options here. He's like, ask Ken, what are his thoughts on the trade deadline heating up? Justin said, I expect Hader, Snell, Goldschmidt, Giolito all to be made available. Maybe Soto, Cease, Arenado too. So as you're gearing up for the trade deadline, and we're going to talk to Derrick Gould in about 20 minutes from now or less, what are your thoughts, expectations, anything you're hearing or getting excited about? You know, for us, the reason we have Derrick on today is Cardinals kind of came out and said, like, it's on, baby. We're going to be selling.
First off, everyone is always available at all times. It's just a question of cost. Now, some players are more available than others because they cost less. And that's just the way it goes. I am sure that the Cardinals, for example, will entertain queries on Goldschmidt and Arenado. Doesn't mean they'll take them down the road, but I'm sure they'll get asked about them, and I'm sure they'll perhaps entertain, hey, tell me what you would do. And that's due diligence. That's what a general manager should do. As for the nature of the deadline, Kim Ng was quoted, I believe, on MLB Network Radio today as saying that she's never seen it like this. And what she meant was so few sellers, the AL Central and NL Central being so closely competitive, not in a good way necessarily, but the division races are close that there might not be a lot available. And we've been hearing a lot of this talk really from the start of the season. I don't buy it. I never buy that the deadline is going to be quiet. Why? Because I've been covering this thing a long time, and we talk about this kind of scenario almost every year, and all hell inevitably breaks loose. I expect all hell to break loose again. I don't know in what form. I don't know who's going to go, but I would expect that we'll get surprised. We always get surprised. I frequently write at this time of year that the deadline has this way of spinning our heads around. And yeah, I would think that's going to happen. Now, I don't know the names, because if I knew the names, there wouldn't be surprises. The Ohtani thing is something we will watch to the very end. If they stay in it or rally to get back in it, the Angels, then it becomes probably less of a possibility. But the reason I'm so intrigued by the next 2 or 3 weeks here is we have a number of teams that could go in a variety of directions. Mets, Padres, Cubs, Angels, those are just some of them. And I don't expect anything dramatic out of any of them. Probably the most likely scenario is they kind of play the way they have, right? But it's going to lead to some decisions. And we're going to see some things happen. We always do. And I'm sure there'll be a surprise too. You bring me back August 2nd, and we will be talking about some kind of shocking turn of events.
Hell yes. I cannot wait. That is our focus.
That's what I'm here for.
Yes.
That is what I'm here for.
I'm here for the Tao of the backup catcher and trade deadline talks for the next 2.5 weeks. Ken, awesome. Get some rest. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, Ken. And again, you can catch Fair Territory. It's up there right now on YouTube and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. It's there for you every single week. And we do have our announcement as we started grilling it with Ken. There's the promo. But we do want to announce our winner for Baseball Barbecue's giveaway, the slugger giveaway that we did that had all the foul territory you saw engraved.
So awesome.
Engraved tools. It had the cutting board.
The cutting board with
gorgeous.
The trough. Awesome. Yeah.
Are we ready to reveal the winner for the Grillin' It Baseball Barbecue giveaway?
Please, baby.
There it is. Regan Hayes. How you doing, Regan? Congratulations. He's Canadian? Is that what I was told?
Yeah.
I see. Okay, cool.
Love
I see a description that says, "Life's a bowl of punch. Go ahead and spike it." That's his Twitter bio.
This is our foul territory people.
That is a man of the people.
And Regan is about to get some grilling going. I mean, you need some big steaks for that huge cutting board with the foul territory and the trough on it and everything. Love it.
It's awesome. Regan, congratulations. And for everyone else, you can use the code ALLSTAR to receive 20% off your order at baseballbarbecue.com. Again, that's the code ALLSTAR. And if you want to look back, we'll post more about it. But all of the sweet hookups we got from Baseball Barbecue that have the Foul Territory logo on it, Ken's Fair Territory. When you set them up the other day and you were like, hey, does it have the Fair Territory logo? You don't have one? Did you know he had one?
He didn't see it. It was right next to his, it was on his, Jess and Mark and everybody was like hustling and putting it out there. And he was getting his ears on and it was sitting right there. And he was like, oh. And then AJ made the petite steak joke.
The petite filet.
The petite filet.
Unreal. All right. So congratulations, Regan. And for everyone else, just to let you know, Derrick Gould from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch coming up. He's going to talk to us about the St. Louis Cardinals essentially waving the white flag, saying it's over. So if you're here for trade deadline conversations and questions, you're in the right spot. Derrick's going to join us in about 5 minutes. And now let's get to the Immaculate Grid. Do you guys know how to play this?
Yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Because this is where I reach my maximum bandwidth, okay? Because people are like, oh, how are you doing, this stuff behind the scenes, and then you're keeping up with baseball and this and that. Well, there are some things that I sacrifice. I am not playing games right now, but I would like to learn. So if you guys can help me out here, here's our board, and one of you can kind of host this few minutes for me.
You're going to love this.
Okay, can you take me through this?
This is right up your alley.
Okay.
So all you have to do is you have to find a player. Think of a player who's played for the Rockies and the Tigers. But don't just think of the most obvious player. Think of somebody that's super random. So we'll start with the Padres and San Francisco. And you just have to think of a player that's played for both teams, but think low-level player because you get a percentage. So like if
Yangervis Solarte.
Yangervis Solarte, we got to plug that in, okay?
Is that one?
Oh, it's definitely one.
That's definitely one.
Padres Giants
for the Padres and Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yangervis.
You're going to see a number will pop up. Mm-hmm. It'll say probably for Yangervis Solarte, it's probably going to be like a 0.02%.
And that's what you want.
And that's what you want. You don't want like the Giants and Pittsburgh to be one, and you say, oh, Barry Bonds. You're going to get like 40%. So your rarity score is going to be so much higher. So you got to think of guys like Young Harvest Solarte. you got to think of like Asdrubal Cabrera. You got to think of guys like obviously
Erik Kratz.
Erik Kratz is going to be a big one.
I think someone sent me a screenshot. I was on one the other day, and I think it was for Nationals and Rangers or something, and it was maybe Brewers. It might have been Brewers Nationals, and it was like 0.01% or something. So
I haven't seen 0.01%. I've seen a 0.02% for me. And the thing that sucks is I should be on the San Francisco, San Diego, but I technically never played a game for the Padres, so I don't show up in.
You have to play a game, or at least that's how
That's how Baseball Reference does it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I tested it.
So that's one. Of course you did. So that's one. What else?
All right.
Let's fill in some other spots here. Solarte was 0.8%.
That's big, but you can fill in your superheroes, with the 500 career home runs. So you go San Francisco, Barry Bonds.
Mm-hmm.
But
no, we don't want that.
But you don't want that. So you
let's keep playing the rare game. Let's do this. And
most rare player.
We got fans helping us. I forgot that.
So I didn't know. I just thought you tried to fill it out. I didn't know you tried to get the
rarity.
The rarest.
You want the lowest rarity points. That's when you flex your muscle. I mean, if you don't like winning, but obviously,
everybody
this is a
likes
game
to win.
for winning. Now,
so I did my part with Young Harvis. So
yeah, that's big.
I got a Colorado San Francisco suggestion from Rebel 444.
Okay.
Jake McGee.
Okay, I like that. Jake McGee.
Jake McGee. Justin said Tyler Anderson. I'd go Jake McGee. Jake McGee 1%.
Throwing invisible fastballs up there.
Boom. There you go. Okay, we're getting some. Do you want me to read some fan suggestions here?
This isn't how you're supposed to do it.
Okay.
But we're a community here, so this is foul territory doing it.
Yeah, we're a team.
Who's the most?
San Diego, Oakland has some studs. You want me to give you a couple options here from Justin?
And then we'll choose.
Okay.
We'll choose.
Mike Piazza.
No.
Kevin Kuzminoff.
Oh, need Kevin Kuzminoff.
Give me Kevin Kuzminoff.
Grand slam in his first big league at bat.
Wow.
That is legit. But we got to think also 500 plus home runs. Who's the rarest person on that list from those three teams?
I mean, that's
we have plenty of submissions.
You know what's another good one just to keep in mind? They don't apply here. Jed Lowry. Another column would be complained about the most balls and strikes, but that's not. Kevin Kuzminoff is 0.9.
Nice.
That's a good
love
one.
staying under 1%. That's fantastic. We have a suggestion for a 500 home run club member who played for the Oakland A's. Frank Thomas.
Big hurt.
Absolutely. Who the hell remembers Frank Thomas on the Oakland A's?
That was going to be my one. It was like $8 or $10 million 1 year deal.
Right. But I'm saying when I go, Frank Thomas, which team do you associate him with? Never getting
7%. That's 7%. A great 7%.
Nice.
Yeah, for 500 home runs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So how far along are we here? What else do we have to fill out?
We filled out 4 places, I think, 3 or 4 places.
And we're going to post this. We'll post this later.
We got to come up with the Tigers. Did Al Kaline, did he have 500 homers?
I don't think so.
See, that's what
we have one for San Diego and San Francisco.
For what? For
500 homers.
We
I'm
only
pretty
need
sure.
San Francisco's.
Okay. I believe Willie McCovey.
Willie McCovey would be one.
Played for both.
But you're not supposed to look at Baseball Reference.
Well, no, someone threw Willie McCovey's name out there, and I just didn't know if he was talking about that. So thanks for outing me.
But that's what you got to do. You can't be a
that's
cheater.
fair. That's fair.
You can't be a cheater.
I wasn't cheating. I'm not even really playing. I'm just the talking head.
You're learning.
But
You're facilitating.
I am facilitating. Easy said McCovey. So, okay. We're plugging in McCovey. Are we good with that for San Fran? Oh, actually, though, wait. Hold on. I don't know if I want to plug in McCovey because McCovey for SF, we know Willie McCovey played for the
Giants. But how many Giants? Yeah, you're right, McCovey Cove. How many Giants have hit 500? This is where I struggle. I struggle with how many Tigers have hit 500 home runs.
Ooh.
how many Giants have hit 500 home runs?
AJ gave us one.
See,
Not
AJ's
Krasinski.
really good at
AJ Early.
Oh, AJ.
Gary Sheffield, Detroit, 500 dingers.
Wow, good.
Gary Sheffield played for the Tigers?
Oh my,
Yeah,
He was
that's a
part of
good
that.
one.
Oh yeah, he did.
I played
Okay.
against him when he played for the Tigers.
Colorado, Detroit. Toasty said you can use Nelson Cruz. Sheffield for Detroit, yeah.
For
Plug in,
Detroit's
plug in.
500 homers.
Yes.
Plug it in. Final answer.
7%.
7%'s a good one.
That's
Okay.
good. Sheffield for the Tigers. Oh man.
A's, Rockies. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of like random people who played for the A's and the Rockies, but like
That's what you
You'd
need
have-
to think of.
you'd have to baseball reference it.
Yeah, and you can't do that.
Scott, get on baseball reference and tell us.
No,
a
I'm
good
not
one.
allowed now.
Yeah.
It's banned in the Kratz household.
Yep.
Colorado, Detroit from Travis said Ramos. Are you talking about Wilson?
Colorado Ramos. Oh, no, that dude pitched for the Mets. We may have to use baseball reference because it might make this bit
Too
go a little
long.
too long.
All right. Well, we'll post the rest. This was. Thanks for playing along, folks.
We got 5.
Yeah.
We got 5 so far, but you don't. It's not a time limit. You don't get extra points for your
And there's
time.
so much being thrown out in the chat right now. I'm lost, especially when I can't use the website. I don't really know what to do with my
are they
life.
telling us which ones? The chat is telling us who.
No, people are just throwing names out all over the place. Bill North.
Here's
Octavio
one.
Dotel.
Here's one. Seth Smith.
Oh.
Smith, A's, Rockies.
A's Rockies.
Yeah, nice,
Yes. I love
nice.
Seth Smith.
Way to go, Jack.
Nice job, Jack.
I can't take credit for that.
Like
Giambi, too.
who did Jack Hanahan play for?
1%?
Nice. That's a great one.
Sexy.
Speaking of Jack Hanahan, another good one that played for a lot of teams, Octavio Dotel.
Octavio Dotel. Who'd you say? Jack Hannigan? Ryan Hannigan?
No, Ryan
Ryan
Hannigan.
Hannigan.
Stinky. And then there's
Reds.
Jack Hanahan.
Jack Hanahan. Yes. Might be before your time, Brock.
Yeah.
Jack Hanahan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Hanahan, but no, Ryan Hannigan's not before my time.
No,
Teammate.
Ryan is not. All right, that was fun. Thanks, everyone. We filled out most of it. We'll fill out the rest, and then we'll post it later. But just letting you all know. Thanks for playing with us. We'll try this again. Maybe we'll try this like once a week-ish. Now I understand it a little more. Maybe I'll come a little more prepared. Yeah, it's fun. Our next guest is ready on FT Live. Let's float ourselves right over to trade conversations, please. Derrick Gould from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch joins us right now. Oh, he's got a little Kratz hats for you.
Oh, I love that.
Put him on the
I
spot.
want to know what it is. What's that lid you got going on there, Derrick?
Oh, it's just an old 45 spacer, right? I thought I could pop on a hat after a long flight there. So nice.
An old what?
Retro cap.
An old what?
For an old record. I don't know if you guys, do you remember the spacers you'd have to put on the record so that they would play on a normal record machine?
Oh, you mean like the small record so that you would.
Yeah.
So it was in the center.
Yep. That's what that is.
Oh wow, Brock never played a record, but
Never
Brock
played
doesn't
a
even
record.
know who Jack Hanahan is. He's so damn young. Look at that baby.
No,
face.
but I know who Ryan Hannigan is.
yeah, your
And also,
locker.
also I see a lot of books behind you, but I'm wondering where the backup catcher is. But hey,
Oh, let's go!
Hey!
Hey, look
Yes.
at that though. That's a soft cover book. That means Derrick got the advanced copy.
Ooh, wow.
signed by Erik Kratz,
Did you
the
sign them
author.
all?
No, I didn't sign those. Those were just
Finger-
advanced copies
Yeah,
too.
we'll reunite at some
Fingerprinted
point.
them.
Yes.
All right, so let's start at the top here, Derrick. The St. Louis Cardinals have essentially said season's over. Do you agree?
I mean, they're in the National League Central, so really, is a season ever over? You know, I mean, they're in a bad spot. They've had a tough first half schedule wise, and they've made it worse by having a tough first half pitching wise and everything else wise. So their schedule does allow for them to maybe put something together, but not something they can rely on. So, yeah, they're not really clinging to the idea that they're going to make a race of this season. If they do, then everything breaks right, and that's fine. But as the trade deadline approaches, they're certainly looking towards how do they change the look of this team? What do they learn from 2023? How do they take some of the pieces that aren't going to be here in 2024 and move them for help in 2024? So it's kind of those streams are converging in the next few weeks where, they don't want to run away from the 2023 season at the expense of the 2024 season. What they want to do is try to find a way right now to better position them for next year.
What would surprise you most of a move that the Cardinals make?
Whoa, what would surprise me most? Gosh, I mean, look, the likelihood of them moving one of their big players, their guys that they're going to hitch the next couple of seasons to is not high. I think a trade of Jack Flaherty and what they would get in return, I think that I don't know if it would surprise me as much as fascinate me, or how they're able to do like Jordan Hicks, like a deal for Jordan Hicks. How can they maximize the interest in a reliever at this time of year? Plus, to be honest, I think like a major deal that answers their solution or answers some of their real big holes for the rotation, I think maybe that would surprise me. The Cardinals have not been a big splash team at the trade deadline either direction. They really haven't been a seller in a generation or longer at the trade deadline. But when you look at their moves, they've been more like to patch over or to acquire. Or a few years ago, they just kind of rolled the dice and got lucky and really got strong performances from like a John Lester, for example. Last year was get Jordan Montgomery to help this year. So a surprise would be if they do one of their winter kind of major moves at this time of year. That'd be something that they really haven't pulled off since 11 when they made the deal that catapulted them towards the World Series, or 2009 when they made the deal for Matt Holliday.
Do you feel like Mo's getting out in front of this and really saying this when no other GMs are saying this because he could possibly be on the block? Or is that just a pipe dream for me that this guy just constantly has his own free get out of jail card pass?
Well, ownership, I think we talked about it last time I was on, Erik, that like ownership is really committed to him because of what he's done holistically for the organization. And while that definitely isn't showing up in the standings or hasn't shown up for 10 years now with a pennant or hasn't shown up now 12 years with a World Series trophy, they remain committed to him. Ownership does. They like what he's done throughout the whole organization and what he's built there. I think, as far as trading him or quote unquote trading him, that's not really what he's not on the block per se. I think he's getting out ahead of it in part because the media is asking about it. But also, like, one of the things here is you can't hide from the obvious, right? Like, that's one thing about St. Louis and other markets too. But baseball is so, the fans just consume everything about baseball here, all the coverage about it. The media recognizes that. The media helps feed it. And so one of the things is you can't hide from the obvious. The obvious is that the roster they built for 2023 is not working. It's not working as a contender. So what is he supposed to say? Give it more time? He tried that earlier. He said, give us patience. Well, patience didn't get them into contention by the break. So now he does need to get ahead of it because the obvious is there. They need change, and they have to find a way to use the assets that they have, the players that they have, and the future they want to have to come together at the trade deadline.
I'll just throw some like random fan comments out there for you to react to if you want. Ethan said Jordan Hicks to Texas, book it. Number of Yankee fans have been saying they want Brendan Donovan or Lars Nootbaar. So what do you think of some of those guys?
Lars is not likely to go anywhere at all unless the Cardinals are just overwhelmed. They got a lot of interest in him this winter. They really continue to get a lot of interest for a lot of reasons. I mean, everybody sees in the metrics and in the performance and the versatility and in the profile, let's be honest, in kind of his global profile. The Cardinals see what everybody else sees, and they are going to hold on to him. They like him, Edman. These are guys that they want to continue to be a part of their team moving forward. Brendan Donovan's an interesting one. Nolan Gorman is an interesting one too, especially as you think about like what that second base or what left-handed bat could bring and how much the Cardinals need that. One guy that wasn't mentioned there is Dylan Carlson. Last trade deadline, he was of interest to a lot of teams because of his play. this trade deadline, he's going to get some interest from teams because of his potential and his versatility, and maybe how they see him fit in his ballpark. Hicks to Texas, that makes sense. The Cardinals trying to maximize what they can get for Hicks makes a lot of sense. They'll also have discussions about other relievers. But I think, it's a good place to start, which is where the Cardinals are starting, by saying, look, we're not talking about Lars in this conversation. He's part of the future. He's part of that 2024 and beyond. And the Cardinals see exactly the potential and the production and the profile that every other team sees with him.
Is there a history with the Cardinals in eating contracts in trade type of scenarios, as far as like, hey, you really want Lars Nootbaar? You have to eat Wilson Contreras' contract because I screwed up on this one. Or is there scenarios for that you could see from this team? And not saying that Wilson's is an albatross of a contract, but they essentially have 5 outfielders and they want him to play outfield also. So is that something?
No. So that's a great question. And it's one that if the Cardinals did, that would be a big departure from their promises of what they intend to have as a payroll. If they're going to have a top 3 ticket sales total, and the top, say top 14 revenue, they've often talked about how they should have a top 10 payroll. They're going to be just outside of that this season, pending some additions here at the trade deadline. We'll see how that goes. But they've been the team on the other side of that. They're willing to eat contracts. What they have done is they have made direct trades where they'll take on part of the salary. They did that with Mike Leake. They did that with Dexter Fowler. They did that eons ago with Tino Martinez. So if there's a team that says, look, we have a place, we have a fit, we have an interest maybe in having Steven Matz, then the Cardinals would look at that, not so much as kind of a roster clarity move. And if they have to add some money to increase the prospect they would get in return, that would be more of the financial kind of trade that they would make, not one where they would latch on a contract. They feel like they're in position. They still do have some payroll room. They're not going to divest of spending. That's not their goal.
Derrick, with it being All-Star game, we just watched the All-Star game. Cardinals had Nolan Arenado there. Obviously, he goes every year. How painful was it for Cardinals fans to watch as Zach Gallen got the start? Randy Arozarena was out there making plays, stealing bases. Adolis Garcia, a lot of ex-Cardinals playing for other franchises, for other organizations.
Yeah, you talk about those 3 trades, and one of the things that really stood out to me is those are trades that were rather recent. I mean, they're within the past 6 years or so. But the fact that the Cardinals don't have anyone from those trades on their major league roster at the moment, and the All-Star starting lineups had 3. That did stand out, and it adds to a little bit of the pinch, or if you want to put lemon in the paper cut kind of thing. To Sandy Alcantara winning the Cy Young Award last year, and Zach Gallen, who was involved in that same trade, being a contender for the Cy Young this year. So yeah, there's a lot of what could have been there. I mean, the Cardinals are asking that same question internally too. What could have been? Had they pushed harder for Luis Robert Jr., is an Arozarena, Luis Robert Jr., Adolis Garcia, is that their outfield? What did they miss? What opportunity did they not give? What development and instruction did those players get elsewhere that helped unlock them? I think, it was a story that I tried to dive into there in Seattle by talking to the 3 players you mentioned about what they found after the trade. Randy Arozarena is an example. He was with the Cardinals. The Cardinals are hungry for offense. He had hit at every level. And Lane Thomas, who is hitting 300 for Washington, so there's another one. Lane Thomas was also hitting well and playing better defense than Randy Arozarena. That's how the Cardinals saw it. Cardinals were going to shift playing time to Lane Thomas, and he was getting playing time early on, maybe a game or 2 in. He gets injured. The Cardinals have to address the dilemma again. Do they look to the offense that Randy might provide, or do they double down on the defense? They thought that their calling card was run prevention, and that they would find a way through that. So they made Harrison Bader their center fielder and gave him the playing time. Now he took off, won a Gold Glove, played great, and now he's with the Yankees. So there were 3 guys for them to choose from. One got injured, one had the exceptional elite defense, and the other one had the offensive potential. And I think it's interesting to look at what opportunity those guys got and how in some cases they had to go elsewhere to get it. Same with Garcia. Roster squeeze. They wanted a spot on the 40-man. They wanted to move the spot down a little bit, a few more years. And Texas was there, rebuilding, hungry for right-handed power, willing to take a chance, willing to bet on the upside, and also maybe help him, kind of bring in that strike zone discipline and get Garcia to take off to maximize that power potential. What do the Cardinals not do there? These are questions that they're asking internally. And yeah, fans are asking too, because they see the team that could have been, and then they look at the standings and they see the team that is.
Let's spend a couple minutes on Willson Contreras. So in between times that we've spoken, we had a conversation with Ryan Helsley and brought up the Michael K rumor about Contreras, pressing a button on the video game that doesn't do anything. Like sometimes you'll play a video game and you're like, you're like, yeah, R2 doesn't do anything on this game.
I don't
okay.
have
he doesn't have that pitch. Yeah, exactly.
Square.
So did you hear anything about that? Your thoughts and reactions even to what Kay said, then Helsley essentially confirmed it.
Yeah.
Helsley. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Helsley said that a guy came out of the bullpen and asked for a pitch that he didn't have, right? That was okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I believe he said cutter. Did he say cutter?
Yeah. It was a cutter. Yeah, it was a cutter. So that is something that I don't know if it's the same story. I want to be very clear on that. That I don't know that Helsley told you the same story that I know. But what we were told at one point in time that it happened like once like that. It was a cutter. It was a pitch where does he have that? Does he not? Or was it the other guy? And then it was not an issue again. What Kay and I wasn't listening to the game at the time. So again, I just asked about it afterwards. We, Marmol did not want to go into it. Willson Contreras declined comment. There was, there were times where Willson was asking them to throw not types of pitches, but locations of pitches that pitchers were not comfortable with. This came up earlier in the season. And I talked to Willson about this, and he was talking about how he's the phrase that he used is like, we have to make hitters uncomfortable. And I want us to pitch meaner. We need to pitch inside more. And he wasn't getting the pitchers to kind of do that. So it wasn't a type of pitch he was calling, it was more a location of pitch. And some of this has all been conflated into the same kind of story, if that makes sense. I don't know, Erik, you'd be one to answer this. I've heard different stories throughout the years of catchers doing that and then adjusting real quickly. I also was told a story once by a rookie who I wish I could remember the exact pitch, but he said he went out on their mound. Yadier Molina put down a finger for a pitch that he didn't have. And he thought, oh no, it's Yadier Molina. I better make up this pitch. Is that what I'm supposed to do? And and then we laugh, right? It's a good story. It's funny. But you can see how with the current kind of climate and current scrutiny about Contreras, a funny story like that with Yadier Molina's reputation would turn into something a little bit different this year. That doesn't make them different at all.
Exactly. That is not. And so it's like, are they piling on Willson because, well, this is an easy scapegoat? Because if I point all the fingers at him, wait a minute, there's three more pointing back at me. Yeah. And it's kind of like what we talked about the first time you were on. Willson Contreras was who he was. If the Cardinals didn't know, I know for a fact, because somebody from the Cardinals that doesn't coach with the Cardinals anymore knew that Willson Contreras was getting pitches called in from the dugout when he was catching for the Cubs. So the Cardinals knew this. They knew this coming in. Mo wasn't sitting there going, what do you guys think of this guy? Do you have anything? And they were like, oh, get him. This was an issue. But I think it's more of a blown up issue because of what the people around Willson, on the staff, essentially, not just one person on the staff, but the whole staff in general, the organization was leaning on the Yadier Molina. And
there's a lot of that.
It is like there's a lot of that. But what do you see in the organization? Do you see anything? Like, do you see more analytic people scurrying about than you saw before? Or do you see anything physically? Nothing, right?
No. I mean, look, you do see changes in how Wilson is caught. I mean, and you see sometimes where he goes back to where he's comfortable, whether that's one knee down or, where they talked about his position at the plate. I mean, they moved him closer to the plate in hopes to help to get that lower strike. They did a lot of things in spring to work with him, like behind the plate with positioning, even how he caught some pitches to help him with framing, right? Like glove up as opposed to thumb down. Things like that with certain pitch calls and certain pitches that their pitches throw or their pitchers throw, excuse me. And then, early on in the season, one of the things that was standing out was they just were struggling to strike pitches. They gave up just a bunch of home runs, a league high home runs. They still haven't really improved on that. But it's not as much of an outlier as it was early on. And you talk to the pitchers, and one of the things that Jack Flaherty said was, he said, we're having pitches that don't make sense. And some of that was the call, and some of that was the conversation that they later had with Wilson and with Adam Wainwright and all those. But some of that was the execution. And I do think in these conversations, whether it's what players have said or what broadcasters have said, and I try to be aware of this too when I'm writing and when I'm asking questions, is we also need to look at the execution of it. Like, try to not just see the result or look for the reason of, oh, well, that pitch must have failed because it was the wrong pitch call. Let's look at the execution of it. Look where the setup was. Look what was called. Ask deeper questions. Don't try to go like, all right, well, clearly it was the wrong pitch at the wrong time. Ask beyond that. And I think what we're seeing is just a lack of execution. The Cardinals know it. There's a lack of efficiency too with the starting pitching. It's really been what has cratered this season, to be honest. When you look at the offense, it's a top 10 offense by very many measures. When you look at the pitching, it's a bottom 5 pitching staff. It's a bottom 5 in a lot of different ways that you want to go. Strikeout rate being most what stands out the most. The starting rotation is among the lowest, right there at the bottom with other teams with losing records. So that's where it fits. The offense right now is an offense of a team that can contend. The pitching staff, and it's searching for any sort of reasons and in some ways lashing out at the nearest target.
So basically, the rest of your season is going to get super exciting. You are going to get a lot of questions and trade rumors and everything. Yeah. But the real question today is, what is your favorite baseball book of all time?
My favorite baseball book of all. Well, clearly it's the one right here, by Tim Brown and Erik. No, you really want to know like my favorite baseball book? Because I did a list. Oh, okay.
Oh, you do? No, you can't. I don't want to kill it.
No, I do.
mean, as long as you say Tav the backup catcher.
No,
and then
okay, so what's your second favorite?
Right, there it is.
That's after Tim's incredible. What is your second favorite book?
But yes, I'm into it. Yeah.
Second, no, I just had to do this because Joe Kelly wrote a book recently, that was really good and really, really blunt and honest, and I really appreciated that. So I put together like a list of books to read when there aren't any baseball. And so, you put on there like Lords of the Realm by John Hellar, who is a great, one of the seminal books about the business of baseball. The Iowa Baseball Confederacy. I know if you want to read a novel about baseball, about an unending game that takes on a lot more gravity than just baseball. Those are some of my favorites. I'd be remiss not to mention The Last Night of the Yankee Dynasty too by Buster Olney. I mean, I read that and just was like, and was really taken by what a beat writer can do and how that kind of framed my view of what it means to be a beat writer.
There you go. And we have a lot of people in the chat writing down lists right now. We'll throw this out there.
Good.
So, hey, there you go. Derrick, thank you so much. Great catching up with you as always. There it is. Boom.
No. I'll have to get a signed by you and Tim Brown. That's my next goal.
We'll get it done for sure, Derrick.
Done. Derrick, thanks, man.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. And you can follow Derrick and all of his writing on the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. If you give him a follow at Gould, Goold. Let's slap hands. 2 minutes with us, and then we have a few minutes with one more guest to finish things off with some fan questions. So the New York Yankees just made money. That's the headline. No, they have a uniform patch. They signed a massive deal. There it is. Our home and away uniforms with the Star Insurance patch. Apparently, they're getting about $25 million per year.
Per year.
Do you see? For a long time.
7 years?
I'll get you the number. Let me get your reactions. Bob Nightingale tweeted the ultimate number, which is close to $200 million. He said, we'll pay nearly $190 million through 2030, averaging 25 a year beginning next season. Whoa.
That could buy a pretty good player.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Huh.
One of Japanese descent. Shall we?
25 is not going to do it.
No. That buys one
for his hitting. For his hitting.
And
maybe
then
not even his hitting.
You add 25 for his pitching.
Yeah.
And then you get
then you're close.
Ohtani. And then you're close. Right.
And then Ohtani's a Yankee, but we've already established that he's going to Las Vegas. So
the game is in a healthy place financially, people. Okay.
Yeah, you can't retract. I want to hear what you have to say about this, Brock, just quickly, and because you never played for the Yankees, you played against the Yankees, so maybe you have a feeling or some type of way about it.
Yeah, I don't really care either way. Like if a patch is on a jersey, whatever. I mean, obviously the Yankees uniforms are iconic, right? The pinstripes, they're just plain Jane, the plain grays. That's all they wear, right? Home and away. But I mean, this is kind of what it's turning into. I guess the Yankees need a little bit more revenue, more money. I guess they don't make enough. So these big patches on the jersey are really going to help. And like we said, may bring an extra bat or an extra arm to the Bronx.
I'm for it. I think most Yankee fans would be for it if it's reinvested into the team. If they're like, yo, you're going spend like Steve Cohen's spending, but do it better. Because Billy Epler and the squad's struggling right now in the front office with the Mets. But if I told a Yankee fan, like, hey, if there's a little patch on a jersey, but you'll get Ohtani or Soto or one of these big free agents coming up and it'll lead to a World Series, they'd be like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, but that's not why they're not getting them. It's that's not why they're not getting those guys. There's tradition is okay. The whole shaving your face thing it's a Yankee thing. You don't have to shave your entire face. You can look silly with a mustache. You just can't have anything below the upper lip. So it's just so you could go silly. You can go silly style. Like, tradition is okay. And for them to put the patch on the jersey, I feel like is bucking tradition and bucking what the Yankees have done for a long time. It's off camera. I have a signed Derek Jeter jersey, and it's one of my most embarrassing signatures that I have.
But it has a patch on it.
Because it has a patch on it. That's my point.
Oh.
It has a patch on it. I accidentally paid full price for a jersey that says Jeter on the back of it. Derek Jeter he's in the Hall of Fame. He's never had a jersey with his name on it. He played for the Yankees his entire career.
You got that one at Academy, didn't you?
I got this one I got it at some store in New York because I'm like, I'm not buying some cheap one. I'm not buying some. And dumb me handed it to him, got it autographed. And I was like, he thinks that I made this. He thinks I made this on like
Derrick,
MLB
I showed
shop.
This last night.
Yeah, Derrick, this is my favorite Jeter jersey of all time.
My Jeter jersey doesn't have Jeter on the back.
It has nothing on it.
Or a star. What is it? Star Mutual?
Star Insurance.
Star Insurance. It doesn't have a Star Insurance.
It
doesn't. But like I have, and I meant to get if Star Mutual just got some free pub, by the way. If Star Mutual is out there.
If it actually exists.
Prestige worldwide.
Wide.
But like if I wanted to bring my jerseys from spring training, from the 2 seasons that I played for the Yankees, I have patches that say that there's one that's a black band that went around in remembrance of somebody who passed away. There's one that has Mr. Hal Steinbrenner's brother who passed away.
Okay.
The patch was right here. And then I have ones that have postseason on them. and you've never seen jerseys like that before. And now we have Star Insurance because what? The price was right. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I can't tell somebody to turn down $200 million. I can't. But really, like,
maybe it may be a different feeling because you played for the Yankees and you have that kind of. I mean, I'm sure I would feel different if I actually wore the pinstripes, right? But I don't find it that big of a deal. But
I know everybody's doing it. But you would think, like now, I honestly was thinking we're never going to see a City Connect from the Yankees because they gave us a hard time when we played a game outside of Yankee Stadium, and they were inside Yankee Stadium, we were finishing a game against the Mets, and we were technically the road team, and they gave us a hard time that we were going to wear gray in Yankee Stadium because we were technically still the road team. We were finishing it during the COVID season, and the Yankees had never worn gray in anything but the pinstripes in Yankee Stadium.
The Mets walked your asses off in one of those games.
Like,
in your ballpark.
Super quick. It was like I called for a slider from Aroldis Chapman, and Ahmed Rosario hit a homer, and I was walking off before the thing was even in the seats with nobody in them.
So weird.
It was weird.
All right, one more thing. For the Mets, Pete Alonso at the Derby, everyone should do this. This should be a tradition now. I know they have a lot of shit to do during the All-Star break. If you're participating, say, in the Derby, players with the schedule, we went over that the other day. He signed each baseball that he was going to receive from his dude that's probably going to be in the majors now, throwing him absolute
just filthy cutters
spin.
down and away.
So much spin. But signed all the baseballs, hits them into the seats. People get a signed Pete Alonso home run derby baseball. That is awesome.
That's cool. And you see you see how big that person's hand was that was holding it? No, that's a normal person's size hand. The ball was just really tiny. Those things, I saw
they're smaller.
I saw one while we were hanging out behind home plate. A kid had caught two of them. And I mean, the ball is so shiny and so tightly wound. It is teeny tiny ball.
It is made to explode.
It is made to get launched.
And so are we. Friday, Atlantic City will be there. Some of us, 1 to 3 Eastern live show. Brockstar, good to see you again, dude.
Yeah, good to be back. I think I'll see you in a few days. I think I'm back on it
next week.
Days, so
okay.
I'll be back.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Brock fans, next week you got them. We'll take your trade questions tomorrow too. We'll go over the guest list. Keep it posted on our socials. We will see you then. And most importantly, here, put this over your face. It's more important right now. Buy the book.
I'm waiting for the movie version to come out. Backup catcher. Then I'll watch it.
I'll have a part in the book where I get in the movie where I get in a fight with one of my least favorite teammates of all time, and that's why I got kicked out of Boston after my 2 days.
I want to hear that story. That's a good one to plug. That's a good one to plug.